And so we're going to talk about a topic that is fascinating. It's how to manifest the life that you want, but especially when there are resistances. So
Yeah.
this is what we want to know.
Every day feels like there's resistances around every corner, so this is going to be very helpful.
Okay, so Dana, I'm waiting for you to send a request. Maybe you did it on also on Instagram.
Yes, I did send the request.
And then we're going to start all of this. That's it. No, yeah.
You see it?
So that's it. So, yeah, it's very interesting because Dana and I were talking about this, preparing this live, and we were laughing. And because, of course, ourselves, we are like specialists of manifestation for many, many years. But of course, ourselves have difficulties all the time. We are being challenged all the time with our own personal, professional situations, right?
Absolutely. Every single day is a challenge sometimes for me, even though this is something I practice on a regular. I mean, because the truth of healing and the truth of power of energy is really knowing what to do when those blocks hit you.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you heal once and you'll forever be okay in the universe. You just need to know how to deal with the waves that life brings you.
Yeah, absolutely. And to deal with the blockages inside of us, because sometimes it's very frustrating that we are trying so hard at creating something, let's say for our job, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
and it's part of all our efforts. It's not producing all the fruits that we want. And then, of course, it means we have things to solve inside. But this is the constant work on yourself that we are challenged to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before we start, do you want to briefly please introduce yourself, Dana?
Oh,
How
hi,
did
every.
you come to what you're doing today? For how long have you done it?
Well, really what introduced me to this is a lot of pain and struggle that I went through in my adolescent years. It brought me to a specific point where I felt like I could no longer ignore the call from within. There was such this voice speaking to me that didn't really match what everybody else said around me. And I got to a point where I just had to listen to it. I had to take a leap of faith, and I ended up quitting my 9 to 5 job and dedicating my life to helping others heal and manifest the life that they want, because for so long I was in a similar situation where I was stuck in reality I didn't want. And so, yes, my name's Daina Migliore. I'm this manifestation specialist, but also energy healing coach. And I've been doing this for the past 7 years, and it brings me so much joy to be able to see others tune to their own light, because we all have this within ourselves. And when I watch other people be able to break through some of their blocks and resistances and start realizing that they really do create the reality around them, it just resonates with me on a whole new level. So I'm really happy to be here and sharing my experience with Edouard.
Yeah, we're going to do that right now. And what people need to hear, and the people who just joined us or who watch this remotely, is there are hundreds of techniques and tips that you can apply in your life. Of course, they all depend on the same laws of manifestation, we call them. But there are so many techniques that can help you improve your life in all possible ways and in every single field. It's a lifetime's work, but it's fascinating. So today, when we were preparing this, you mentioned the case of one of your clients who's a
Mm-hmm.
woman and who was tired with her work like 9 to 5, and who wanted to have financial freedom, meaning also her own freedom, do what she wants
Yeah.
with her time. So can you tell us about this client a little bit, and what were her difficulties, and what did you advise to her? How did you help her?
So what I began helping her with was the with her battle and struggle with realizing that she took on a lot of beliefs from the people who've raised her, that were around her, that she felt like she had to be in this job or else she wouldn't be successful. She wouldn't know what to do with for income, for money. And
What
I
kind of
needed
job?
to, she worked in a call center.
Call center? So very
Yeah,
tiring job.
very tiring job, very soul
Yeah.
sucking, as she would say. And
Soul sucking. Yeah.
I can relate with that. So we
Yeah,
bonded
yeah.
very well over that. We had similar situations. So really where it all began was getting to her for me to get her to be able to get more control back of her mind. And we did that through meditation. So one of the first levels of practices I really bring somebody through is to begin understanding that you have these habitual patterns of thought. And in order to start changing that, which will really change your reality, you have to learn to understand that awareness. So meditation was the first thing I kind of brought her through. There's so many different ways to meditate out there, but this was a specific technique to quiet your mind. And so a lot of people give up on meditation because they can't quiet their mind, and our minds aren't made to be quieted. They are made to think and they are made to create. But when we have these specific patterns, we need to be aware of them and learn them. So I would get her to focus maybe just on her breath or the sound of dripping water in the background, something very simple, even for 5 or 10 minutes, and to see how many times did your mind bounce out of that and start thinking about what did you need to do in that day, what came up about your thoughts about people in your life, and etc. And instead of beating yourself up that you couldn't keep your mind quiet, you should applaud yourself and to say, wow, okay, now I'm understanding that my mind's automatically going to this thought. And so we start to learn our patterns and we start to recreate them. And that was one of the first things I helped bring her through, which was truly transformational for her, because she started to realize what her own limitations were.
I like that. And by the way, this is one of the main differences between coaching, which is, of course, a marvelous job, marvelous profession, and energy coaching or energy healing, such as Daina does or such as I do, because what you just explained, Daina, is instead of giving advice like, oh, you want financial freedom, you need first to do this and that, you went to the core, you went to the foundation. Make the silence first, create the peace, find yourself. And this is very interesting because a coach would give a more like concrete, practical type of advice to literally change the job. But what you did is to lay the foundation that will be useful for every situation for this person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And
And how did it unwind then for her?
well, for her in this position, more as more and more time went on, what we started to do is realizing what patterns of thought do you want to have? What patterns of thought would help you create your reality that you so feel that is impossible for you to achieve? So what are these emotions that you would feel? So we really started, like, if you think of like an onion and you think of like all the layers of that an onion has, we really have to start peeling back the reasons why she wants this thing. What is that really end feeling? What is that end result that you're really striving for? And so we spent time energetically feeling this emotion together. And so this is what helped her kind of break through the energy that she normally had that created where she was stuck.
So to
So
to 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 break down also what you're saying for people who are maybe less familiarized with manifestation techniques, you really helped her like be in touch with her deepest emotions, and especially the emotions that could either block her so that she could deal with them,
mhm,
and but also the emotion that can propel her to this new state she
yes,
wanted to create. That's right.
that's right. That's right.
That's yeah. Okay. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, oh my
Are you
God,
here?
please do. Yes, I am.
Okay, okay. And so what happened? And so did she finally manage to create this new professional life and with generate her own freedom?
She's in the midst of, I'm still working with her, and she has quit her job, and she's started to um take on certain, like, she wants to also do something similar that I do. So she's been taking her life coaching certification, and she's getting trained on certain things. So she's in motion right now. She's in that unfolding, in that creation. So she's actually, I'm so proud of her because she's made it through that matrix. She kind of broke free, and she's now in creating her own. Sorry, there's a playback. Like, I can hear me twice. So I'm trying.
Because you need to mute. I muted my computer so that I could only hear you through my phone. Is that
Oh, I
better?
see. I think I did the opposite. So give me 1 second.
In the meantime, maybe I introduce myself very briefly so that it allows you to do your. So for those who don't know me, I'm an energy coach and specialist and healer. It started 28 years ago when I had Kundalini rise through, thanks to a master who had been trained by Hindu masters, real miracle workers from India. And it became very quickly a passion to study spiritual laws and techniques and to dive into what I call the initiatic tradition of the different traditions of the world. And 12 years ago, I decided to start to share that. And so that's why we wanted to talk with Daina, because when we are in this field, we know that what we do is very complementary, and each specialist has his own or her own gift. It's very, for that, it's very interesting. And also the different ways to circumvent the problems, to really go around the problems and find the solutions. Like
Well,
did
I
you
remember
manage
you
to
were
solve
saying,
your issue with a micro?
yeah, no, I
Okay,
can't hear
great.
myself now. I can't because that was so hard to think. But I remember you were talking about your client and how he went completely bankrupt and how he felt suffocated in that, and how did you really help him work through and break through his energy to be able to kind of break free from that?
Yeah, well, he was so it's an entrepreneur with a like medium-sized company, and he told me he was really in very heavy debt with his company, so also meaning his personal life. And so what we did is I've been interested since 2016 in what I call the energies of money and energies of prosperity. Before I did this work, I was in international finance for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And what strikes me is that I know that the elites and the financial elites, of course, of all times, not all of them, but the top ones, they use energy to get the success that they have. It's maybe negative energy, but it's still energy, So of course, Dana's and my job is to use only the light energy, the like super positive energy. We can call it divine, however we call it, but I mean the light. But it's still energy, and it's amazing to see that most people, especially like positive, honest people, want to go by the rule. They ignore that, and they don't use the laws of manifestation. They don't use energy. So I started to study the energies of money, because maybe you will agree there's not many energy specialists who focus on, who make a specific research on energy of money, right?
Correct.
Because spiritual people are scared of money. And I was also a little bit, I need to tell you, because why are spiritual people scared about money? Because of course we can't generalize, but I mean,
Oh, like
most
when
of my
people have these beliefs that money is evil, like the root of all
yeah, but
evil,
it's
right?
it's partly true, so this is why, in fact, you just named it, and it's partly true is because there's been so much corruption and wars and whatever, what humans have been doing for the sake of money for thousands of years. And this is really creating huge blockages for all spiritual people, people who want to learn about manifestation. And it's important not to, how do you say, to really understand the importance of this blockage. It's like an inner program, and you need to get rid of it. So we worked on this, and I did specifically also energy. I can do energy. I can make somebody experience any type of positive energy. So I did energy of erasing the debt.
Wow.
This is part of my like personal lab. I'm trying things, and then I wait for clients to give the feedback. And the feedback was that after 1 year, he came back after we had done 3 sessions, and he said, I'm getting better and better. My debt is now very narrow. And then we continued a little bit to work, and now he's in like plus, and he's creating new projects. And he's creating new projects with energy, by the way. He's in architecture, and he wants to build now houses with the golden number. And it's a project I inspired a little bit, but
amazing.
Yeah.
It just goes to show, everything. Would you agree that everything is a manifestation?
Everything is the light. Everything is one. So
everything is a manifestation. So
everything is manifestation.
If you're not happy with what your current situation is, what your current reality is, then it all takes time to realize, well, what creates that? It's what you think, what you believe, what cultivation of feelings that you have around these topics will really be the end result of what happens. So like how you helped him alleviate that energy and that feeling of this being broke, not having anything, and that the fear of where that can take you, because you can either live joyfully or you can live fearfully. So and I feel like a lot of people are in a fearful energy, or worried about how to get to that next stage, of worried about the unknown, and that keeps them kind of very limited in where they are.
With money. Especially with money.
Especially
people are very scared. It's so true what you say. I work with I don't know if I should say I'm lucky or I am unlucky. It will surprise some people when I finish the sentence, but to have worked for 20 years now with a few billionaires, there's a voice in me that says unlucky. Because I can tell
you, a blessing and a curse.
These people, you don't want to be near them, even the kindest, they're terrible, and because they're like kings, they think the world should obey them and that they should get all the money. And the crazy thing, and why I mentioned this, is that what you just said about us being scared and sometimes being ruled by fears, sometimes in subconscious fears, they also have it. And I trust me, sometimes, because they allow me, I look at them and their energy and their psychology. So I scan them, and they are like this, with a let's say this is a purse or whatever. They are like this, and they have $1 billion, and they're like this. And you say, I did this work for you. You owe me this. No, it's crazy. No, but I had this experience with one of these clients. He's literally a billionaire. He's very famous, and for different reasons, he couldn't pay me during a few months. I continued to work with him, and then he had financial difficulties because of problems he created. And then he was like this, so I can see that this fear, anybody can have it. So the sooner you can get rid of your fear, better.
Yeah. And learning how to work through fear, like fear is just you painting a picture in your mind, painting a scenario in your mind that you might be worried this outcome. So you're pretty much manifesting what the opposite with your fear. You are imagining your worst case scenario instead of imagining your best case scenario. And why do we all automatically go to our worst case scenario? And again, that comes back to these repetitive patterns that we have within us. And that all comes from the energy we were surrounded with from a child, and what we really held into us as a belief. And now in your adult life, here you are, facing bills, facing money here and there. And if you allow these subconscious beliefs to rule that indication for you, it kind of just keeps you so limited. And so it's so funny that you said he was holding so tightly onto it, because the scarcity was
Small amounts.
yeah. And he had so much money. Like, how somebody with billions of dollars can be that scarcity with money, and here are some people have nothing and their scarcity of money. So it's nothing to do with the amount of money you have. It has everything to do with how you believe and look at money, and how money is generated. And I feel like money is energy.
So let me challenge you on something. I have, for instance, I'm thinking of a client who has had a difficult breakup, love, in love relationship. It's a man, and I can see he's never been really happy in his love life. And so this situation last year was very difficult, because he found out about a big defect that his girlfriend had, and he could see he could not build on it. But now I see he's crushed. I just started to work with him, but for the sake of this live, which I find myself very interesting, what would you suggest for this person? Or because I know him quite well, maybe you have questions, and then if I know, I'll tell you. But
Okay.
let's make a case, like, for instance, how would you proceed yourself, Daina, with such a case?
So it's going to be strange what I'm going to say, so bear with me on this. But when it comes to love, and it comes to that feeling of emotion, like, somebody, you have this love, they leave, now you're crushed, right? What happened? They're gone, so I don't have it. Technically, that love that you felt with that person is that unity between yourself and yourself. So that so what I would help him to realize is that feeling and that love is already that's still within him, and that he doesn't need that other individual to amplify that feeling of love, because it does come from self-love. And even I didn't find my perfect partner until I started to love myself more, and understand that love can be cultivated through an emotion, through a feeling. And yes, other people can come around and they can love you and they can bring that side out of you, but it's really that connection between you and that inner guidance, that your inner source, that inner energy. It's you connecting with that. So I would really get him to understand that, even though that's not what they want to hear originally when we first, sit down and talk about love. And
No, but again, it's you getting back to the foundation, and I love that. I also try to get to the source, the origin of the problem. But I like that you do a very in-depth work, and especially getting back to the origin of the problem and simplicity, because then you can build whatever foundation you want to. So
absolutely.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And
then, so, like, what are you are there moments that you can relive? Like, a lot of the times I get people to relive a moment where they felt powerful, where they felt loved, where they felt a specific feeling that made them feel invincible, because kind of that's what love does. Love, for some reason, I don't know, you just feel very powerful, and this energy. So it's like, let's get them to cultivate that again. You can relive that right now without that partner being around. And so when somebody can
how do you suggest, for instance, this person lives this right now? It would be through meditation or through.
you
So what
could
you're
use
suggesting
meditation.
basically is that this person can really, you can really feel, make the experience of love within yourself, by yourself, without needing to have somebody. Doesn't retract the fact that being with somebody who loves you and you love is wonderful, but already you can create that within yourself. But let's say this person, as I told you, was crushed and sometimes is sad, etc. How do you help him realize the energy you're mentioning of, I'm enough, I feel so good? I love myself. I love my life.
I usually get them to talk about a specific time in their life that they felt that. And then I
Mm.
point out to them the shift that they've made in the conversation I'm having with them one on one. So I just be like, just right now, you just shifted. You were in this dark place, this dark energy. You were telling about me about how painful you were hurting. And then I got you to jump right out of there, get into this story, and you instantly shifted your energy and your light. Did you just notice that? Do you want me to record this and play that back for you so you can see
No, no,
the
I totally agree with you. I totally
right?
agree with you because I
No,
played
that's
the
what I would
game
say
and
to them,
yeah,
right? So that's what I'd be saying to them to get them to
yeah,
realize, yeah.
yeah. And so you suggest, for instance, to really delve. I never did this, for instance, myself, and then I never advised it, but I know some people do it. So because you do it, it's very interesting. You suggest, for instance, to go into a memory that is but then with somebody or alone.
It depends whatever memory you choose that comes to mind for you. So
Got
when
it.
was a time you felt very powerful and in control and you felt love? Like when was that for you? Can you bring me through that story? And then they start talking
I
about the
can, I
story.
can tell you now. I'm not kidding. Because I just connected with my inner love. Because what you said, by the way, I've been doing this for a long time, and this year it was very strong progress, like just feeling the love I have for myself and life, and also to learn to be grateful.
Mm,
But when did I feel powerful? I have something with the past. I don't like to remember the past, to get back to the past too much. So when did I feel powerful and happy? I don't know. I mean, many times, but it's true. I love to find happiness in the present moment. So I'm probably not the best person to make
well,
an effort to
whether it's coming
remember
from the
about the
past,
past. Sorry?
whether it's coming from the past, or whether it's something that's right now, or whether it's something you can imagine, it's all a point of attraction you're giving off in the now.
So it's right now. Yeah. For
It's
me, it's
always
right
right
now.
now.
Yeah. That's the most, you can feel it, like it's like I'm flowing now with the right now.
So if the now is not good energy for you, can you imagine what it would feel like? Is there a past time that you felt that way? And that helps that person realize they can just make that their now. And so,
Yeah. And then how do you repeat it? Because of course, manifesting is we live 24/7. I mean, we live 24 hours a day, and what spiritual people do not often understand is that it's regularity.
mm,
If you do sometimes some prayer, sometimes some meditation, sometimes some manifestation skills, etc., it's not enough, because you have to live and feel the vibration of what you want to experience most of the time, ideally.
right, right.
So how
It
do you suggest to do this?
Well, there is a meditation that I'm training called the six phase meditation. This is more of not quieting your mind at all. It is a very visual manifestation
Mm-hmm.
and meditation, and it takes you through six phases. So, for instance, the first phase is love and connection. And so when you're sitting in your little bubble, and it only takes 20 minutes a day, but you go through all these different six phases that are so powerful. And who doesn't have 20 minutes for like self development? If you really want that regularity, you can dedicate 10 to 20 minutes to this practice, because once you know the phases, you can sit there and do them in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, however long is right for you. But that's one thing I highly recommend. And so the love and connection is really getting to think of a soul, so whether it's an animal or a person or an individual, you get to feel that and cultivate that love in your heart. And so once you cultivate that love in your heart, you want to start associating that love with a color. And so pick white, pick blue, pick pink, whatever color calls to you. And then you kind of fill your whole body with this color. And so you stop almost picturing the soul, the face of the soul, and you have this color around you. And then you see how far can you extend this color beyond you. And so, like, so say I'm this room, for instance, and if I pick the color purple, I would start imagining that my whole body's purple with this feeling of love, and I'd send it through this whole room, touching any person, animal, or plant. And then how far can I extend it? So above my house, above the neighborhood. So everybody's getting this feeling of love within me. And so it's such a powerful practice, and that's just one of the phases. And so it's really something cool that I would recommend. I mean, I have a whole free training on it if anybody's interested in doing that. 6 phase meditation is super powerful.
You should try it, of course, if you're listening to that today. We'll have, by the way, so this is on Instagram, this is also on YouTube, and you'll have all the details in the bio or under the video.
Mm-hmm.
So sounds very exciting. Yes.
So how would you work through one of your clients in a similar situation, energy wise? So what did
So
you
if let's say, let's get back to the situation with a guy who was crushed, etc., with his love life.
Mhm.
So yes, there's a moment, if the time allows, of course, in a session, where I would get back to what you said, like about the happiness of being by yourself, etc. But my way, like spontaneously, would be to address the topic of the missing person, and to try to understand what are the programs and limitations or emotions that block the person. Like, is it in this case grief, fear, maybe fear of love, maybe fear of never
Rejection?
meeting a person who can make him happy in his love life. And then once we, of course, asking the person to talk about it, or deciphering myself, and
Right.
then use energy, because I like to use energy to liberate. It's like you bring a caterpillar and you liberate tons of blockages or negative emotions. And then maybe also suggesting a sentence, like a mantra, a new belief, to create a new belief. And the person would have to really use this meditation or mantra with a visualization to where he sees himself in this ideal relationship. But also, when somebody comes to me with the topic of love, it's very oftentimes I try to focus on the right person. When the person is single, the most important is that the next person will be the right person. The right person can be for 2 months, or it can be for 2 years or 20 years. But I mean, it's a billion times better to be alone than with the wrong person. What people want is somebody adapted to them,
Yeah. Also, I feel like forgiveness is a huge part of energy work.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people assume forgiveness is like, so say this person cheated on you, and maybe that's why you're no longer with them, right? And so you're thinking, oh, I will never want to forgive that person. They cheated on me. Well, forgiveness is not about them. Forgiveness is about you and releasing this thing within you that you're holding on to that will only attract more of that. So let's say you're not in forgiveness with this person and you hold on to this little bit of hatred, little bit of resentment in your heart. You might find another relationship and then the exact same thing happen or something of that sort
Exactly.
because you've
Yeah.
not released this um this hold on you. It's like this little weight. You can think of a chain and the weight tied to, and you're just dragging it around with you everywhere you go. It's almost like you have to allow the forgiveness for you. And so that's it's a hard one to go through for a lot of people because there could be things that are very unforgivable, but in order for you to truly heal and move past that, you have to let that go.
Absolutely. It's quintessential. And yeah, totally agree. And I don't know what to say. Had
It's a
something in
hard
my
one.
head, just forgot, because what you were saying is so beautiful. So no, but I think you're amazing, and I love your inspiration with the different topics, because it comes really from the heart, and I can see you have all the very good techniques to deal with all these situations. When we talk about love, by the way, I often mention that it's important to learn how to change, I love to work with the dual system of meditation, visualization, and creating the vibration, the energy that correspond to what you want to manifest, and the prayer. And a prayer meaning, if it's something very resisting, the prayer has to be what I call the gun of light. Because sometimes we have walls, and I didn't see any exception in any human being. And I mean, I've met some incredible masters. Like one day, I have one friend, we've known each other for 7 years. He's really a Buddha. He's a manifestation of a Buddha. That's with him, by the way, I discovered that there's not just one Buddha. There's an infinity of Buddhas, in the universe. And I see that all human beings have, like, in certain fields of their life, like a wall. It's a blockage. You can do all your techniques, Dana, and all of mine. The wall is still not moving, and the person doesn't have any result, which applies to us, of course, also in certain fields. And then I use a technique that I call the gun of light, which is like I speak to the source, and I try to do it when I'm alone, and I really talk strongly. Like, it has to come from the heart. Of course, I do it with all my love and respect and everything, but I'm very intense, and I say, this cannot stay in the way, and I want you. So I whether I ask the source or whether I do it myself, knowing that I am the source, but I say, I want this to be crushed now and to be destroyed and dissolved now and forever and replaced with the situation that I want to throw. But you have sometimes to be very intense. Otherwise, what we call negative memories, blockages, entities, however we call them, they can be extremely resistant, can be like a wall or an army in front of you. I think it maybe rings a bell.
Absolutely. I think that you being powerful is almost like jolting that belief out of them. You know what I mean? Like how you are impacting them in that moment. Because even when your voice just raised, I'm like, it's like my subconscious was like listening to you, right? It's like I was open to that. So I can see how that would be super powerful transition. The cultivation of light, you call it, right? Yeah.
What? I call it the gun of light.
Is it the curd of light?
Gun, like a gun, like a
Oh, the
cannon,
gun of light?
a gun of light.
Oh, wow.
Because,
Yeah, now
yeah, I know it's not very feminine, but come on.
that's okay.
Sometimes there are situations. We were talking about it with Dana just before this live. We were laughing. We say, let's focus on the difficult situation in terms of manifestation. And Dana said, oh, yeah, that's very good. And because we agreed, of course, we are facing such situations ourselves. So wherever you are and whatever your level in whichever field in life, we will learn until the very last second anyway, all of us. So of course, the beauty of life, which sometimes we hate, if I may say, it's that we are challenged all the time, as one of the guys who trained me said, how do you call a person who has no more problem? A corpse. So it means as long as, so this helped me become a better in my philosophical state, like quantum leap. So a corpse. Okay, so I really should be grateful for all my difficulties. So sometimes when you have these blockages, and they sometimes resist you for months and years, well, of course, regularity, faith, knowing you already have what you want and visualize, etc. All these techniques are very precious, but sometimes you need the gun of light.
I love that. The gun of light. Just help me up at gunpoint. Gun of light. I love that.
But it's more gun, like, the ancient guns, like 200 years ago, the cannons, the big guns. It's not the rifle, it's something that can destroy a wall.
Wow.
Open the way for you.
That's so powerful. You can use the gun on light on me anytime.
Well, you can use the gun on light now. So so I invite you and everybody's listening to this, to think of one issue that is similar to this wall that I'm describing. I'm going to use the gun of light on it, if you allow me. So just think, you don't need to name it, of course, Daina. If you want, you can, but I mean, you don't need to. And just wherever you are at home, just think of one issue, okay? One problem, one frustration, one thing's really resisting you. You have it in mind? Okay, so I'm going to do it the way I showed you before. So there's a lot of joy coming. You see, the gun of light is very joyful.
What it is for me is that since I'm a very energetic being and everything is energy, a lot of the things I have to do to help other people, like show up online like an entrepreneur, is very energy draining sometimes. And so to me, it's like a battle with like protecting my own energy, but being able to be there for the other people that need me as well. And so I have a little bit of resistance. I have a little bit of block with like the whole egotistical version of online. Like, look at me. What is your follower count? What is your like count? Are you growing? That whole essence of online is very, I have to work through that because that is something that.
Yeah, but that thank you for this, but this is different. This is, you don't need the gun of light for that.
Okay.
I totally get what you say, and this is what we are all going through as, like, let's call it therapists, you know. We are sometimes we get a lot of negative energies from people, and it's difficult for us. We have to cleanse that every day. So it's different, and I totally understand what you say. No, I would really say like one resistance. But if you want, I'm going to use the gun of light on this still.
Right.
Okay. So please let me focus. So always when you pray or when you make a demand, or when you manifest, however you call it, do it from the heart. Remember to do it from the heart, not from the head. And how? Well, you imagine it comes from the center of your chest. So source, thank you. So again, they tell you there's a lot of joy. It's like we're all kids playing with the source, you know. Thank you, source. And if you're at home, don't do it, okay? Let me do it for you. Then you feel if it's working. Thank you, source, for destroying totally the resistances and blockages that you are now, that
Edward,
this
you went
person
mute.
now is experiencing with this topic, and dissolving them totally, so that you, Daina, and everybody watching this can make now a quantum leap in this field, because of the destruction of this wall, of these resistances. And you can visualize a wall crumbling down, etc. You know, totally. I don't know if you felt something.
But definitely from like the visual for me, because I'm a very visual person, I use a lot of visualization techniques. So the wall really crumbling down was very like I felt lighter. Like I felt like lighter as soon as I imagined that wall crumbling down from that. And so I'm gonna absolutely use that. I think that's super powerful.
And then when you experience this, after, it's always important to replace it with the positive. So now that the wall has crumbled down, I invite you, Daina, and then anybody's watching, about your own difficulty, your own problem, to visualize that from now on, there's constant flow in you dealing with the online help with people, and you always have the energy that you need, and it's now flowing. This problem has disappeared from your life. And I can see it's working, you know. The wall needed to go down. Sometimes we need to.
After I pictured the wall crumbling down, I seen this like beautiful landscape and this like river flowing. There's birds flying. There's a double rainbow.
This is why we need the women. because you bring so much beauty and poetry, and I'm so happy we start. We get into a world where we are going to be able to manifest all these beautiful things and become much more feminine. You know, we need
We need a
femininity
very
now
good
to
balance between,
rise. What?
yeah, we need a good balance between masculine and feminine.
We need sometimes, you will
Mhm.
agree, sometimes we need a guy to use a very strong gun of light, and then you create what you want. Was my joke, you know.
I love it. So funny.
Daina, I enjoyed so much speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. Everybody out there listening, I appreciate you guys tuning in. And I mean, I hope you resonated with a lot of the things that me and Edward are talking about, and that your energy has, your vibration is lifted from just watching this, because there's a lot of good energy going on here. So I feel like you just tuning in is very uplifting to the energy here. And just remember, you're an energy being. You have energy running through you. You have electric magnetic fields in your hands. You can actually mold the energy through your body with your own hands. You're a powerful individual. And just remember to the power of the gun of light. And just to know that you can create anything you want, and it all comes from having self-awareness and really dedicating yourself with the consistency and the regularity of envisioning the future that you want for yourself, or those feelings that you really want to cultivate yourself. And that's going to be possible. You just have to dedicate that time for yourself, and you owe that to yourself. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Daina. It was a beautiful moment. Daina and I, we've known each other only for 10 days. And I can tell you, Daina, I want to stay in touch with you. I think you're amazing.
Thank you. Ditto
Yeah.
as well. I want to get your book, and I want to
Uh,
read your Billionaire Light, like the Gun of Light, but it's Billionaire Light. I'm so interested to read your
yeah, it's much
book. So,
softer. That's
so
it.
look forward to that. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Well,
that'd be
great. And so good luck with all this. Please share this video. Don't hesitate to like it, but share it with friends. I mean, Daina and I will love to do this, but this like 45, 50 minutes we spent together is
Mhm.
literally like a small seminar on manifestation. You know, it's not a live or an interview. It's more our pleasure to make this gift to you. So don't hesitate to share it with friends, because there are people who will love to discover
Mm.
also that guys like us have difficulties in manifestation, and we have also techniques to get around these difficulties.
Absolutely.
Daina, thank you so much. Have a
Thank you.
beautiful month of July and end of July,
Yeah,
and speak to you very soon.
absolutely. Thank you so much. Take care for now.